was thinking, one of my clients is a sales agency for a number of different manufacturers. And so what he's selling is products. So from a vector point of view, I was thinking, because the manufacturer is closely associated with the product, as a sales agency, if you now associate with the brand, it kind of pulls the vector closer to that product. And the way I've been associating with the brand is through schema again. So I'm just wondering thoughts on that associating with the manufacturer brand pulls your entity closer to the product entity that you're selling.
Not really, Steve. I mean, when you think in terms of vectors, you're basically looking at the definition or the meaning of a particular term or phrase, sentence, paragraph, page, whatever. Now you're looking at the inherent meaning behind it. So, if you look at a jaguar and tiger, they'll have some vector similarities because they're both felines, okay?
There was a statement that a computer scientist named Firth came out with that said you should know a word by the company it keeps.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the word, Beck. Yeah.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Let's say I'm thinking of air pollution control, or more specifically, an air scrubber, and one of the biggest manufacturers in the world is the Trimer Corp. So if I'm selling air scrubbers, they're on my site, but does it give me an advantage to also associate my brand with the Trimer Corp site? And I'm thinking it does.
I would be inclined to say no.
No, I would think no.
I see this with Kaplan Learning a lot. I have a number of experiences with them, different, because they are kind of I don't think it's technically franchise, but it works similar to a franchise where multiple entities can sell Kaplan Learning products. And what we find more often than not is that mentioning Kaplan Learning specifically creates competition rather than creates a better entity relationship.
Now, the entity relationship would be Trimer with its own items, not another group in Trimer. That made sense. I've been up 24 hours.
Say that again. Entity association would be?
Entity association is just basically things that are put into the word back by a mathematical relationship. So Trimer, being the one who sells the scrubbers, would be something that would be in that relationship, whereas somebody else trying to attach themselves to Trimer wouldn't be associated.
To go back to, oh, sorry, Christine.
That's okay. I'm just saying not as closely. I mean, they may be in the same area as air scrubbers, but not Trion and air scrubbers would be, if they're dominant in the space, and Google knows that, which is subjective if they do. One who sells the scrubbers. Yeah.
That any relationship between vectors for similar terms or phrases and entities would be purely coincidental. There's really no relationship built into vector analysis at all with entities. It's right. Just looking at the meaning behind the term.
And like you and I were talking about, when I was looking at all the query classification and rewrite stuff, that's why I started to notice they're getting more into the entities as well as the vectors. And that's, to your point, actually, Doc, is they do in the patents and the papers actually separate those two. And I mean, they're not saying vectors inclusive of entities, they're saying vectors and entities, not inclusive of each other.
But entities are mapped in the vector space.
But entities are language agnostic. They don't really care if you're in France and you say the color blue, and in English you say the color blue. They're different words, but they mean the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but their entities are mapped in the vector space. The mathematical relationship between.
Okay, so
the
vector
nodes.
space is just looking at large corpuses of text and seeing which words are next to each other.
Well,
And
the node denotes the relationship. They don't know meaning, but they don't know meaning at any level. So
right, but
that's
just
the
saying
thing.
that-
They don't understand that iced tea is iced tea. They just know iced tea is a thing.
They just know iced tea often accompanies words like ice and
Right.
classes and
Try putting in.
bottles
Try putting in.
and supermarkets.
I haven't done it in a little while, but if you put in sugar, something like sugar sweetened iced tea or something like that, you'll get a bunch of chemistry experiments along with it, because it doesn't know that whether you meant chemistry and adding sugar to something, or whether you
And
mean.
it doesn't know whether you're talking about Long Island iced tea.
Or
It's also
iced
a
tea, the
drink.
wrapper.
Yeah, which is why rank brain is up on everything and making
Well,
everything
the
irrelevant.
thing is that any knowledge that the algorithms can derive from vectoring is based only on the knowledge that's represented in the corpus that they're analyzing.
Right. So it's looking for co-occurring words and phrases. It doesn't really care too much about knowledge graph.
Right, it just knows
Right.
that the node and the vector relationship.
It doesn't understand the relationships between entities and attributes and
Well,
entities and classification. No, it's
mathematically they do. They
no,
know
it does not. It
it does.
Doesn't, Bill,
Well, I think we're
doesn't it
you're-
put it
you're-
as
you're-
we're
closer or
confusing
further away?
understanding with
Yeah.
mathematical relationship.
Yeah, mathematical relationship is a node between two entities. that
statistics
those are
involving
related.
words
Not
isn't
about
necessarily
understanding the word.
semantics.
What?
Statistics involving words isn't necessarily semantics.
I'm not talking about statistics. I'm saying when they put them in the
You're
word.
talking about computer generated vectors, which are statistics between words.
Okay, we're using different terms, but the mathematical relationship between like apple and banana shows the
And
strength
then
of the relationship.
mathematical relationship is based upon the statistics between the usage of those words.
Not the
corpus.
usage though, it's the word vec.
It's the
It's
usage
the word
of
vec
the words in
mathematics,
the
it's the
corpus.
math assignment. It's
It's
a number assignment.
no.
It is.
Hey, Chris,
Yeah.
stop arguing a second and listen. Believe me, Bill's on the right track.
I
It
did
is
five-
statistically
I did five-
based.
I did 5 talks on this.
Oh,
It's
good.
fine,
I
fine,
read
but
like over 120 documents. There it is a mathematical relationship that they look at.
it's a mathematical relationship based on statistics.
Statistics.
are
Statistics
math.
is a
Thank you.
mathematical relationship. You're actually making his point. Again,
You're arguing my point to me.
yeah, because
arguing against me
statistics
using
are
mathematics.
mathematical. You know what I mean? Like,
Statistics are the analysis of mathematical relationships.
Okay, think about that.
yeah,
You're right, but think about what you're saying.
because it is like, again, I've studied a ton of this shit too. I guess how they're being used, none of us knows. But at the end of the day, statistics are a mathematical relationship. It's just, it's a more refined one. The statistical relationship is far more what they're doing with that stuff. You know what I mean? At least anything I've read and gone through at this point. You know what I mean? And I've spent 5 fucking years on it. So
Are they looking at the co-occurrence of terms and the statistical probability that these terms will appear in a document together?
They're looking at the co-occurrence of those words with other words and how often those words appear with the same other words. Like a king and a queen are related because they tend to be surrounded by the same words.
Right.
There are differences and there are mathematical ways of pulling that out, but that's
So
the
there's
co-occurrence is an important part of.
so there's a statistical probability that one of those other words will appear in the document.
More like the statistical appearance of those other words in the corpus that's being analyzed indicates that this term refers to this meaning, okay, based upon the statistical appearance in the corpus.
And the corpus being very large.
The
Huge.
corpus possibly being all the books that Google scanned plus social
Right.
media.
Right.
So it's a lot of words.